Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to my channel. I have a quick compare and contrast video of two candles from Kringle. These are candles that are not identical. They're not even similar in some ways, but I think that they're similar in other ways. And they lend themselves well to compares and contrasts. And sometimes it's just really nice to focus on two candles as opposed to one, or as opposed to a lot more than one or two. So the two candles that I have for you today are Kringle Away in a Manger. Looks so. This is one of the really big soy tumblers. And as you can see, I've burned it down about halfway. I feel like I've been burning it for hours and hours and hours. Man, these things last forever, right? And then I also have, and this is from Kringle, but this is their country candle line. This is Tinsel Thyme, and it's in this beautiful green. And once again, I've burned it almost halfway, but again, I feel like I've burned it for hours. The wax here is a little bit cleaner than what happened over here for Away in a Manger, but I do have to say Away in a Manger so far has burned less erratically than Tinsel Thyme. I love both of these candles. So one of the similarities between the two is that these are both holiday branded candles for the Christmas season from Kringle, but they are holiday candles that travel well outside of the holiday season. So if you're a seasonal burner, what will offend you is the very Christmas branding. This one in particular, which says Away in a Manger, and probably is not one that you would want to reach for even in January, let alone March, April, or May. But frankly, the scent could be burned at almost any time throughout the season, which makes me kind of wish that Kringle had maybe branded it in a little less of a Christmas centered way. I mean, even if it was named something like Joyful or Rejoice, or even like Christmas in July or something like that, I think it would help a great deal in terms of getting a little bit longer of a burn season for it. Tinsel Thyme as well is also branded fairly Christmassy. You can see that little Christmas tree, and actually I have, this is a soy blend, and it's a 3-wick that I just bought. I haven't actually burned it yet, but as you can see, fairly holiday, if not Christmassy kind of aesthetic. That said, with the turquoisey and the white, I think it's so beautiful. I think it goes really great for January. And these are both great January burns in that they don't immediately scream Christmas, but at the same time, especially with Tinsel Thyme, I'm not really sure that I would be inclined to burn this in summer or in fall or whatever else. So these are both very strong January burns. And they are both, I would say, citrusy candles, especially Away in a Manger, which is extremely citrusy. But I would say that the top notes of Tinsel Thyme are also a little bit citrusy. And I personally indulge citrus scents with a little bit of caution and suspicion. Citrus is not necessarily my thing. I associate it with kind of a very acidic, brassy kind of candle, which some people like, but I would say not me, and I'm also not a gourmand person. So when I initially bought Away in a Manger, and I think it was like in a daylight, I was like, I'm not gonna like this, but I'm just gonna smell it. And then I realized this is a really extraordinary candle. So let's just start out with Away in a Manger. This is an extremely citrusy candle. One of the other similarities between the two is that these two candles are intense. They are intense candles, and for that reason, I think they're a little bit polarizing, and I think they have specific and unique audiences that will love them, and I think probably a lot of other people who may not. So I'm not sure that these two are mass appeal. This is an extremely intense citrus candle. It's very orange forward, but it's not quite as pure as the orange in like Sicilian orange, for instance, which is a fairly pure, juicy orange smell. It's just as intense as Sicilian orange, maybe even a little bit more, but it's mixed with a lot of other things. So I'm just gonna read the top notes here. Top notes from Kringle: juicy orange, mint leaf, lemon. Mid, clove bud, rose, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And the base, musk, vanilla, and cashmere woods. So this is definitely an orange, but it's kind of like a deep, dark, intense, vaguely spicy orange. Not spicy enough that you can pick up individual spices, but as you can see in the mid, clove bud, cinnamon, and nutmeg. Like I said, not necessarily spice forward. It's definitely more orange forward, and those spices are soft and they're blended together so well that you're not picking out just clove or just cinnamon, etc. But those are all robust spices, and it's coming through as a dark, spicy, like a myrrh frankincense kind of feel to it, if you will. The rose is making it just a tiny bit floral. Not so much that you can pick up on the floral, but it's signaling that this is not a gourmand orange, even with all the spices. This is not something that makes you want to like put it in your mouth. And then with the musk, vanilla, cashmere woods, it's deepening and darkening it. I don't smell any mint at all. There's nothing clean or minty about this particular fragrance. The lemon, though, is making the orange feel very tart. It's a tart orange. And I love this candle. I just really do. I'm not a gourmand person, so this is as far as I can go kind of into that food product kind of realm. And it's not a gourmand candle. So there's that. Please don't think that it's going to be one of those candles if that's to your liking necessarily. But I think if you are a gourmand person, you will love this. This is an intense, intense candle. So when I burn this, I mean, it's been a true 7.5, 8 right off. It will fill your house. So you really want to make sure that you like it because you're not going to be able to escape it. It is deep, it is intense, it is biting, it is sharp. But it is also joyful. It is so joyful. And it's a real surprise to me how much I love this one. This is a brand new holiday contribution from Kringle this year. And it's all in the soy Kringle line. And it was also available in one of these kind of 14 ounce with a wraparound that was gorgeous. It was like all of these colors and it glows so brilliantly. I did notice that the wraparound is sold out right now on the website, which I'm kind of not surprised by because it was just so stunning. But I really hope and suspect that Kringle is gonna keep this one around. And they should, for sure. If you are curious about it, I would pick up a daylight before you commit because it is a commitment, this particular candle. Tinsel Thyme also has some citrus. In fact, I would say that citrus is the very top notes of this. But it is less citrusy as the Away in a Manger, because in equal measure, if not more, there is an herby, fir, pine, almost vaguely spicy quality to what's underneath it. So the green color is really apropos, I think. Tinsel Thyme, obviously thyme is spelled like the herb, not like T-I-M-E, which is signaling to you that this is probably an herbaceous blend, and it is. Interestingly, Kringle puts the citrus in the bottom notes, but maybe just because of the quality of citrus, it's coming off the top. That's, all of the other scents they just strike you lower, if that makes any sense. And the acidic citrus tends to come forward no matter where it is and no matter in what measure. So the notes that Kringle give, top is white birch, balsam fir, and musk. For me, I'd put those in the base notes. I'd call those base notes. Their base notes that they do give is holly greens and citrus. Again, I put both of those on top. Even the holly greens, which tend to be a little brighter, a little bit lighter, a little bit more vibrant, botanical, rather than like a dried pine sappy kind of, you know. The mid notes are pomegranate and hollyberry and thyme. For me, not so berryish, unless it's a dried berry underneath something in there. I'm not really getting a whole lot of berry, but you do get the thyme, if only because you kind of feel this herby spiciness that can't really be accounted for in any of the other scent combinations. So I think that's what the thyme is giving, like that very spicy intrigue, basically. And then you have balsam and fir and the holly to really round it out into a very robust, intense green experience with the citrus. So it's basically a citrus slash greens kind of candle. And when you burn it, the citrus lifts off kind of up, and then you just get that intense greenness. It's not a sweet candle. It doesn't come forward as quite as sweet as Away in a Manger, and Away in a Manger isn't even that sweet, to be honest. So not a sweet candle, but I also love this one. In fact, in some ways, I love this one even more because, well, I love the musky, intense, spicy orange over here. It's a lot of orange. And I do kind of like the greens and the trees here. So the throw on this one and the burn across the board was a little bit on the erratic side. This is a paraffin wax. When I first burned it, I was really disappointed because I couldn't smell it like hardly at all. And I burned it for hours and I just kind of got a 5, like maybe, which is not enough. It's not enough, especially because I love it so much. So I was super disappointed. But then when I burned it the second time, it like woke up and like a lion out of its cage, and it was matching the intensity of this Away in a Manger. I want to say 7.58. It was, again, not a scent that you could dismiss or ignore or evade in your space. And I have pretty high ceilings here. It was intense. I remember thinking to myself, if you did not love this scent, this would be a little bit overwhelming, this experience. But I was so happy because I was getting that kind of strength and energy and intensity. Third time I burned it, the wicks were choky. They started choking and not being able to handle it. And I didn't even trim them because they looked fine to me. So, and I haven't trimmed it now for a bit. And frankly, they are a little stubby looking. So I'm hoping third, fourth burn, it'll right itself, because I do find that when the wicks and the flames are burning high, they're burning the wax off at a very good pace, and you're just gonna get a better scent across the board, let alone just a good, robust burn. So I'm hoping that's the case. I would say erratic burn on this one. Generally speaking, the paraffin wax is, of all the wax combinations that Kringle uses, supposed to be their most problematic, possibly. So they have, right now, currently, they have 3 different wax formulas. They have paraffin, which is in this country line, and it's the colored wax, which I think is gorgeous. I'm partial to the paraffin personally. And then they have a soy blend, which I believe is a soy paraffin blend. And then they have straight up wax. I say it straight up soy. The whispers in the rumor mill is that they want to go to all soy, even if that means dispensing with their country line or radically transforming it into an all soy, which frankly, I'm not terribly happy about because I really like the paraffin wax. Not only for the color, it's a harder wax, and for me personally, it seems as though most of the paraffin candles tend to give off a greater intensity in terms of scent, and they throw better. And that is not, it's very general. There are paraffin candles that are weaker than I think they should be, for sure. And there are soy candles a la Away in a Manger that are powerhouses, despite the fact that it's a soy, an all soy formula. But I would say generally speaking, the country lines are better with strength and throw, and the trade-off is that they burn maybe a little bit dirtier in terms of sooting, etc. Bear in mind that dirty for Kringle is much cleaner than most candle companies, regardless of what their formula is. The Kringle candles just burn fantastic regardless. And that's why I'm a huge fan of the paraffin, because I will trade off a little bit of burn issues or some sooting for the amount of intensity that these particular candles have. I think it's a really good trade-off because generally speaking, there's not a poor burn in the house for Kringle. And I think, yes, the burns may be a little bit better with the soy, but is it better enough to trade off some amount of intensity, etc.? For me, it's not. But I think that it's really important that I say, especially with this like particular video in which we're contrasting two candles from two different lines, that this is one of those situations where even though Tinsel Thyme more than holds its own, Away in a Manger is more intense. So it is not true that in every case the soy is shyer or more muted than the paraffin. And if all the soys, or the majority of them for Kringle, threw as well as this one and had as much intensity, I would be much more relieved about the potential soy takeover that may be happening. I should also mention that this is, Tinsel Thyme is one of the really special scents in the catalog that comes in all wax formulas. So this is one of the paraffin, all paraffin wax situations. And then as I said before, this here, this 3-wick, this is actually one of their soy blends. And then it actually comes in the Kringle line and looks like this. And they have it in all soy. So they've really committed to Tinsel Thyme, and it comes soy blend, and paraffin. So whatever floats your boat. And I think it probably would have been helpful if I had burned it, at least in the soy blend, so that I could try to make some sort of comparison on how it experiences in a different formula. So I apologize for that. Bear in mind though that this is 3-wick. So you should get a greater intensity with that kind of burn over a 2-wick. So soy blend or soy, you're gonna have some compensation in that regard as well. That's all I've got for you on these two candles. I love them a lot, but I suspect that they might be a little bit polarizing. I was watching a review from Kevin Campbell on YouTube, and he was reviewing a whole spate of Kringle candles, and he did not like Away in a Manger. I mean, he just took one smell and was like, no, absolutely not, under no circumstances, you know? And I was watching it, I really like Kevin, but I just thought, oh, that's an extraordinary candle. It really is. Even if it doesn't like float your boat, if you're not that kind of a person, you don't love the spiciness, you don't love the intensity, you don't love the citrus, you have to be able to respect the fact that I think this is an extraordinary candle. But it goes to show you that I think they're both so intense and so unique that there are going to be people that are just not gonna love either one of them. And because they're not shy and fading in terms of throw or intensity, you've got to commit. You've got to commit. However, if you are curious at all, or if you find that you like the two, they will probably end up being like your two favorites or whatever else. I love the fact that they travel well and that they're a great burn in January and February, where we're looking for candles to burn, but we don't want them to scream Christmas necessarily. We're not quite ready for florals and like tropical breezes either. These are so fantastic. I'm going to link all of these candles down below. For the Kringle website. They're running sales. I really hope they're gonna run like another really big sale to, again, especially before their spring line, kind of clear out some of their inventory in terms of their holiday blends. So watch for that. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much.